Gurubhyo Namaha. Again, welcome back to this second and the concluding session on Avadhuta Gita, an introduction to Avadhuta Gita. And we have Dr. C.S.R. Prabhuji again. Welcome you, sir. Thank you for making time for these sessions. Before we begin, let me start with a small prayer. Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvartha Sadhike Sharanye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Shri Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Dr. Prabhu, please go ahead and start the session.
Well, friends, we will start the Avadhuta Gita second chapter onwards. We will try to cover glimpses into all the chapters till the end by skipping some of the slokas, but we will cover more. Prayatnena vinayena nischalena chalachalam grastam svabhavata shantam chaitanyam gaganopamam. The unmoving one, who without effort possesses all that is movable and immovable, is consciousness, naturally calm, like the sky. Ayatnat chalayed jastu ekameva characharam sarvagam tat katham innam advaitam vartate mama. That which, how can he, the one and all pervading, who moves effortlessly all that is movable and immovable, be differentiated? To me, he is non-dual. So this is the description of the supreme power, what we call as Paramatma or Parameshwara or Bhagavan, who is all pervading and moves effortlessly all that is movable and immovable. And it is non-dual. So when you have a non-dual situation, Advaita situation, like you have the one single gold who is manifest in various ornaments forms, or one single ocean, water manifested in various bubbles and waves. And I am also one of those bubbles or one of the ornaments. So only one is there, and I am also the same. You are also the same. Everything is the same. Ahameva param yasmat sarastaram shivam gamanagabana vinirmuktam nirvikalpam nirav. So that is the self. I am verily that supreme self, since I am the absolute, more essential than all essences, since I am free from birth and death, calm and undifferentiated. To assert your identity with the Brahman is the Jnana Yoga sadhana, and thereby negating all other individuality attributes. Sarvavayava nirmuktam tathaham tridasarchitam sampurnatvat nagrinhami vibhagam tridashadikam. Tridasha is the 33 kind of devatas and all that. The division of one supreme being, like in the Vishwarupa, is shown into all the devas. Spasya Adityan, Vasun, Rudran, Ashwino, Marudastatha. So thus I, free from all components and worshipped by gods, but being full and perfect, I do not recognize any distinctions such as gods and the like. So this is a very important concept here. In the Vishwarupa Sandarshana, or also in the Purusha Sukta, or in the Narayana Sukta, the infinitude of the Supreme Being manifesting as different powers of nature, which are the Devatas, 33 categories, that is called 33 Koti. Koti does not mean crore, but category. So Ekadasha Rudras, Dvadasha Adityas, Ashtavasus, Ashwins, like Maruts and so on. So what he's saying here is that one Supreme Being, I am that, and all these things I don't distinguish separately. Ramadenatana Sandeha, Kim Karishyami Vrittiman, Utpadjante Viliyante, Budbudascha Sathajale. Ignorance does not create any doubt. What shall I do, being endowed with modifications of the mind? They arise and dissolve like bubbles in water. So, mind is having such a nature that the Sankalpa Vikalpa Atmika, the thoughts arise and they disappear, arise and dissolve. So, what shall I do? It doesn't mean all that is real. The man of highest spiritual perception, after realizing the divine identity, may live on the relative plane, thus appear enveloped by the ignorance. But even then, he is never unaware of the divinity, his divinity. So, a Jivan Mukta or a Sthita Prajna, even though he may be appearing to be involved in worldly activities, like normal, average man's activities, he is not going to be really touched. That is what is Karma Yoga. Padmapatra Mivambhasa, like water on the lotus leaf will not touch it. Though the man of highest spiritual perception appears to think or will, etc., yet as pure witness, he remains completely separate from mental activities. So, because he is realized soul, he will assert his identity or separate identity from the thoughts. He will remain stuck with his true identity and not get carried away by thoughts. Mahat adhini bhutani samaptyaiva sadaiva hi mrudu dravyeshu tikshneshu gudeshu katakeshu. That thus am I ever pervading all existence, beginning with cosmic intelligence, pervading. So the assertion that I, the self, is all pervading, is soft, hard, sweet, or pungent substances, any material substance. Patitvam chaiva shetyatvam mridutvam va yadha jale prakriti purushas tadvad abhinnam pratibhatime. As pungency, coldness, or softness is non-different from water, so Prakriti is non-different from Purusha. So this distinction of Prakriti and Purusha is brought out in the Avadhuta Gita. Prakritim Purusham chaiva vidya anadi ubhavapi vikaranscha gunanscha vidhi prakriti sambhavan karya karana kartrutve hetu prakriti ruchyate purusha sukha dukkhanam bhoktritve hetu ruchyate sarvakhyarahidam yajyat sukshmat sukhnataram param manobuddhindriyatitam akalankam jagatpatim. So he is explaining the nature of the Supreme Being, the Lord of the universe, the divide of all names. Sarva akhya rahitam. Yajyat sukshma sukshmataram param. The transcendental, subtler than the subtlest. And manobuddhindriyatitam. Transcendent, beyond mind and intellect. Akalankam jagatpatim. The Lord of the universe. So we know this kind of description is there for Vishnu, Narayana, or even Shiva. ईदृशं सहजं यत्र अहं तत्र कथं भवेत् त्वमेव हि कथं तत्र चराचरम्. Where there is such a natural being with B capital being, how can there be I? How can there be even you? How can there be the world? Now, we have the being, B capital. In fact, Maharshi Mahesh Yogi wrote a book called the Science of the Being and the Art of Living. So that word Art of Living was taken by Ravi Shankar Ji for his Art of Living Foundation. The science of the being is what we are talking about. That is Brahmajnana. So that being, in fact, Aurobindo explained a lot about the being and the becoming, the manifest of the superconscious. So that natural being is only one, and within that we are all absorbed completely. There cannot be I and you. Gaganopamam tu proktam tathev gaganopamam chaitanyam doshahinam cha sarvajnam purnameva cha. So further explanation, it is purna, that which has been described as being, like Akasha, is indeed like Akasha. Akasha is everywhere. Everything is in Akasha, ether. So everything is in the Supreme Being, Brahman. That is consciousness, Chaitanyam, Doshahinam, spotless, blameless, omniscient, Sarvajnam, and perfect, Purna. Purnamada, Purnavidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate. So from that Purna, of Supreme Being, this Purna, the manifest universe, Udachyate, it arises. And even after arising, Purnasya Purnamadaya, Purnameva avasishyate. Purna remains as Purna. Prithiviyam charitam naiva, bharutena cha varina pihitam naiva, tejo madhye vyavasthi. So it is light. In fact, this light is explained in various texts. It does not move about on the earth or dwell in fire. It is not blown by the wind or covered by water. Akasham tena samyaptam, na tadvyaptam na chikena chit. Sabhahyabhyantaram tishtat, avacchinnam nirantam. Space is pervaded by it, but it is not pervaded by anything. It is existing within and without. So this is an important distinction between Akasha and Brahman. Inside Brahman, Akasha is there. Not Brahman is in Akasha. But all other things are inside Akasha. And Akasha is inside them. It is undivided and continuous. Sukshmatvat, Adrishtatvat, Nirgunatvat, Chayogibhihi, Alambanadi Proktam, Kramad, Alambanam. One should successively take recourse to the objects of concentration, as mentioned by the yogis, in accordance to their subtlety, invisibility, and attributelessness. Now, this verse is explaining the process of sadhana, yoga sadhana, dhyana sadhana. In order to attain the absolute or dissolution in the absolute, one has to reach the state of infinite and undifferentiated consciousness by eliminating all mental differentiations or movements. So this method of this elimination is to make consciousness dwell on one object continuously by obstructing its restless tendency to dwell on multifarious objects. Mind is wavering, so first to concentrate on one object. The object of concentration has to be chosen carefully. The beginner chooses a grass object, like an idol, or even a mountain, or Shivalinga, or the river, or home, or any object. When he has dwelt on it continuously for some time, his consciousness becomes subtle and steady. Deshabandhas chittasya dharanam, tata pratyekadanata dhyanam, He then chooses a subtle object. Then you replace that gross object with a subtle object, like say Om sound or Brahman. Gradually he reaches a state of consciousness, concentration, but some differentiation in his consciousness still remains. There is the consciousness of himself as a concentrator or the object on which he is concentrating and the process of concentration. So next level, even the three differentiations vanish, for the object of concentration dissolves and there remains only one pure undifferentiated consciousness. And that is the self. So this can be practiced and experienced and reached. The stage can be reached as absolute consciousness. Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham Shivo, Satchidananda. Satatabhyase yuktastu, niralambo yada bhavet. Tallayat liyate nantar dosh vivachyate. When through constant practice, one's concentration becomes objectless, then beings diverted of merits and demerits, one attains the state of complete dissolution in the absolute. Nirvikalpa samadhi. Though the dissolution of the object concentration, but not before. So complete dissolution of the object of concentration. The merger of the three into one. Jnatra jnana jnaya bhedaha. Parena atmanit. Vishavishwasya raudrasya moha murcha padasya cha. Ekameva vinashaya ayamo kyamoham sahajamritam. For the destruction of the terrible poisonous universe. Why is he saying poisonous universe? We know how we face difficulties and problems and miseries in this life. That is why it is called poisonous universe. Vishavishwasya, Raudrasya. It is violent. And Moha Murcha. It is also creating delusory consciousness. Ekameva vinashaya moham sadayam. The destruction of such delusion is but one infallible remedy, the nectar of naturalness, sahajavastha. In fact, the secret of self-realization is to be established in yourself. If you are established in yourself, that is enough. Any mental activity, imagination of form, name, description, attributes, analysis is a distraction. Nothing, just be in yourself. That's what happens in deep sleep. That's what happens in deep meditation. State of pure existence. Divine identity. If you remain in yourself, in fact, my mother also told me this with her experience from our guru. If you remain in yourself without any distractions, without any thoughts, without any activities of the mind, without any imaginations or delusions, analysis, just if you can remain in yourself, that's what yogas chitta vritti nirodha tada drashtu swarupe avasthana. Then that's it. That's enough. That is pure consciousness. Because all other times, vritti sarupyam itaratra, you are getting carried away with the thoughts and identities created by thoughts. Bhavagamyan nirakaram sakaram drishtigocharam. Bhava bhava vinirmuktam antaralam taduchade. That which is having a form is visible to the eye, correct? While the formless is perceived mentally. That the self beyond existence and non-existence is called intermediate. So, to recognize existence, to recognize non-existence is an activity by itself. Whereas the pure self consciousness is independent of both. That's why he's told last time also, how can I say it exists or it doesn't exist? Bahya bhavam bhaved vishwam antah prakritiruchyate antaram jneyam narikela kalam bhavat. Bahya bhavam bhaved vishwam. Well, the basic question that arises, is this universe existing or not existing? Bahya bhavam bhaved vishwam. The external existence is the universe. The inner existence is called Prakriti. Antar Prakriti Ruchyate. One should try to know that which is more interior than the inner existence. So the inner existence is Prakriti, but deeper than Prakriti, inside the Prakriti, that is the self, that is yourself. It is the consciousness, pure consciousness self, that which is more interior than the inner existence, that which is like water within the kernel of the coconut. Narikela, alambuvat, the coconut water is inside the kernel. So inside the Prakriti is the self or Purusha. Bhranti jnanam sthitam bahyam, samyak jnanam cha madhyamam, madhyad madhyataram jneyam narikela kalam. Illusory knowledge, Bhranti jnanam, relates to what is outside, and correct knowledge relates to what is inside, and try to know that which is more inside than inside, more interior than inside, that which is like water in the coconut. Paurnamasyam yatha chandra eka evati nirmalaha tena tat sandrisham pashyed vidvidha drishti viparyayaha. There is only one very clear moon on the full moon night. One should perceive that self like moon. Seeing duality is perversion. Sometimes they see two moons. That is drishti dosham, perversion. So only oneness is reality. Anenaiva prakarena buddhi bhedona sarvagaha datacha dhiratameti giyate namakoti vihi. It is indeed in this way that intelligence becomes divided and ceases to be all comprehending. A giver attains to wisdom and is sung with millions of names. Perceiving many objects separated from one another as an ordinary experience, intelligence should, if it is not clouded with ignorance, perceive only unity, the whole of reality. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly mentioned that perceiving multiplicity is the effect of Rajoguna level of consciousness. Perceiving oneness is the effect of Sattva-guna consciousness. This perception, according to Vedanta, is the only true perception of reality. Guru prajna prasadena murkho va yadi panditaha yastu sambudhyate tattvam virakto avasaga. So the role of the guru, teacher, is emphasized. Whoever, whether it be the ignorant fool or the learned scholar, attains to the full awareness of truth through the grace of the teacher's wisdom, becomes detached from the ocean of worldliness. So it is not necessary that you should be a scholar to get enlightened. But Guru Prasada is mentioned here, Guru Prajna Prasada. That is, the grace of Guru is the cause of your jnana and moksha. Ragadvesha vinirmuktaha sarvabhuta hiterataha dhrudhabodhasya dhirascha sagachet paramam. So who will become liberated? Ragadvesha vinirmuktaha, a person who is freed from raga and dvesha, and sarvabhuta hiterataha, he enjoys and gets pleased, enjoying the welfare of all beings. That's why our rishis have said, Sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, Sarve santu niramayaha, Sarve bhadrani pasyantu. So all as one, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is also the theme in G20. It is amazing that first time in the world, a statement was given that the whole world is one universe, one family. So this universal oneness and universal love is an indication of spiritual enlightenment, which our rishis have mentioned. Drudhava bodhascha dhirascha, a person who is established in realization he will achieve the supreme state. The Bhagavad Gita also mentions Siddha Prajna Lakshana, Gunatita Lakshana, Yogi Lakshana, Bhakta Lakshana, Adveshta, Sarvabhutanam, Maitra, Karuna Evacha. And many such statements are there, fully there in all the scriptures. Take any scripture, both Hindu scripture and even non-Hindu scriptures, there are statements which are talking of universal oneness and universal love. Ghate bhinne ghadakasha akashe diyate yatha deha bhave tatha yogi swarupe paramatma. So such a yogi who is enlightened, who is free from attachment and hatred, devoted to the good of all beings, fixed in knowledge and steady, shall attain the supreme state. So such a person, as the space within the pot dissolves in the universal space and the pot is broken, to a yogi in the absence of the body, it dissolves into the supreme state. That is nothing but moksha, which is his true being. So all the effort is to destroy, admonish and make the obstructions vanish. So the ultimate upadesha, which my mother gave to me even just before her death, was never deviate from your true nature of Brahmatmana samsthitihi, being one with Brahman, which is yourself. You are Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. So that state of conviction should never be compromised or deviated. If you deviate or compromise, you will be caught into the samsara once again. Ukteyam karma yuktanam matiryantopi sagat. Nachokta yoga yuktanam matiryantopi sagat. It has been said that the destiny of those devoted to action is the same as their thoughts at the end. So at the time of death, whatever thoughts are coming, they will determine your next life. But it has not been said that the destiny of those established in yoga is the same as their thoughts at the end. So the yoga, higher yoga, that is Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, or even Bhakti Yoga, when you are established, Prayana Kale Manasa Charena Bhukta Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Baleni Cheva Dor Madhye Pranamaveshya Samyak Satam Param Purusham Upai Divyam Yat Param Yadavido Vatanti Om Tyegaksharam Brahma Vyaharan Mam Smaraniya Prayati Tyajan Deham Sayati Parava. The 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is very clear. He who leaves this body with Brahmi sthiti of awareness of Om as himself, Brahmic consciousness, will be liberated. Yagatih karma yuktanam sacha vagindriyad vadet yoginam yagatihi vapi yakampyam vatorjita. One may express the destiny of those devoted to action with the organs of speech, but the destiny of the yogis can never be expressed because it is transcendental. He will reach the highest. Vihaya kaman yas sarvan bhumam sarati nispraha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashanti vagyachati esha brahmi stititva naivam prapya vibhukhyati stitvasyam antakalepi brahma nirvanam. At the end of life, if you can reach the brahmi sthiti, you will be liberated. Evam jnatva tvam margam yoginam naiva kalpitam vikalpavarjanam tesham swayam siddhi pravartate. Knowing this, one never says that the yogis have any particular path. For them, it is the giving up of all duality. The supreme attainment comes on itself. The supreme truth, when the yogi attains after transcending all duality, also mentioned in the 8th chapter and many other chapters in the Gita, is very ever present, eternal and absolute, and so cannot be spoken of in terms of relative existence. So Brahmi Sthiti, it is Brahmatmana Samsthiti, it is universal form, universal oneness. It is not that single birth. When this sense of duality is destroyed, This truth at once reveals itself, and even as the sun is seen shining when clouds disperse. Tirtheva, having reached that stage, it doesn't matter where the death takes place. Tirtheva, antyageheva, yatra kutrapi mrutopi va, na yogi pasyate garbham, hare brahmani liyate. So such a yogi, wherever, in whatever circumstances, faces death, will not be born again into the womb of a woman. He will be liberated, merged into the Brahman. Hare brahmani liyate. Hare Brahmani, transcendental, supreme, absolute existence will be his identity after death. Wherever death happens, in whatever form death happens, it doesn't matter. Because he is already liberated, even when he was alive. Sahajam, ajam achintyam, yastu pasyet swarupam, katati yadi yadheshtham lipyate naiva doshai, sakruta pitadabhavat karma kinchit, akuryat, tadapi nacha viruddhibadhaha. He who has seen his true self, which is innate, unborn, and incomprehensible, does not, if anything desired happens to him, become tainted. Being free from taint, he never performs any action. Man of self-restraint or the ascetic, therefore, is never bound. Only apparently desired by him who possesses self-knowledge. But when one has attained to the knowledge of the self, one may still continue to live in the body and appear to be actively seeking desired objects. This, however, is only a semblance. Being free from the taint of ignorance, which makes the average man seek objects of desires and avoid undesirable ones, is really inactive. So that is what was mentioned in the Gita as Chaktva Karma Phala Sangam Nityatrupto Nirashreha Karmanya Abhipravrittopi Naiva Kinchit Karoti Saha Niramayam Nishpratimam Nirakritim Nirashrayam Nirvapusham Nirasisham Nirdvandva Nirmoha Aluptam Ashaktikam Amisham Atman Payati Shashva. So he will reach that Lord Ish who is permanent. Who will reach? He attains the Supreme Self, who is eternal, pure, fearless, formless, and supportive, who is without body, without desire, beyond the pairs of opposites, free from illusion and of undiminished power. Vedo na diksha cha mundana kriya guru na sishyo na cha dradikam cha binat bhaste avishama paiti shashvat na shambhavam shaktikam hamvar pindam varup आरंभ निष्पत्ति घटाधिकम चनो तमीशमात्मा आपनोति शाश्वतम. So a few songs are given here like slogans. Yasya swarupat sacharacharam jagat utpajyate tishtati niyate piva vayo vikarada devapena budbuda tamishamatma shashvat nasa nirodho na cha drishirasanam bodho apyabodhopi na cha yatra bhaste adi pracharopi na yatra kinchit Avishamaatma Rupayati Shashvatam. Nanattvamekam Ubhayatvamanyata Anutva Dirghatvamahatta Sunyata Manatvameyatva Samatvavarjitam Avishamaatma Rupayati Shashvatam. So once you reach the Godhood, Isham, Atmanam, that is merger of the self in the Supreme Being, then all the other attributes are meaningless. They are cancelled and dissolved and they disappear. So all other distinctions disappear. Manona buddhis sariram indram tanmatra bhutanina bhuta panchakam ahankritis shapi viyat swarupam tamisham atma rupayati shashva. All panchabhutas, all duties, everything is negated. विधौ निरोधे परमात्मतां यते गते विधौ निरोधे परमात्मतां गते न योगिनश्चेदवर्जिते शौचेन वशौच पालिंगमावना सर्वं विधेयति shuchyate. When the injunction cease and the yogi attains to the supreme self, his mind being void of differentiations, he has neither purity nor impurity. His contemplation is without distinguishing attributes, and even what is usually prohibited is meaningless or not of value to him. Manovacho yatrana shaktimiritam nunam katham tatra gurupadeshata imam kadham uktavato grost yuktastatvam hi samam prakash. Where the mind and speech cannot utter yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Where the mind and speech can utter nothing, how can there be instruction by a teacher? To the teacher, ever united with the Brahman, who has said these words, homogeneous truth shines out. So who is that teacher? Avadhuta, Dattatreya himself. So these are profound declarations and statements. Now we go to chapter 3. Guna viguna vibhago vartate naiva kinchit. Rati virati vihinam nirmalam nishprapancham. Guna viguna vihinam vyapakam vishwarupam. Kathamahamha vande vyomakhyam shivam vai. The distinction of quality and absence of quality does not exist. How shall I worship Shiva, the Absolute, who is devoid of quality and absence of Nischalam Nirgunam, who is devoid of attachment and detachment, who is of the form of either omniform or beyond illusion and all pervading. This is an exclamation he is making. In this discourse, the Avadhuta describes the self as neither distinct from phenomenal existence nor identical with it. Such a perception of the self is the highest realization conceivable, inasmuch as the consciousness of oneness is so full that any recognition of even the least distinction is impossible. This self is the same as Brahman. I am Atma Brahm. It is I. When the knower knows the knowledge of this self, even the so-called relative existence is no longer the same as it appears to the Brahman. So, Jivan Mukta, Brahmajnani, having acquired Brahmajnana, he'll appear to be living an ordinary life, but he is not touched. Quality refers to the different attributes belong to the relative objects, which are due to the three basic sattva, rajas, and tamas. As the relative existence have quality, the absolute is beyond all quality. Nirguna. In all the relative existence, the identification will comprise of three gunas, whereas the Nirguna Sthiti, Gunatita Sauchate, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga in Bhagavad Gita has explained this very clearly. This distinction is the language of relative consciousness, the state of self-realization to which they referred above. Such distinctions do not exist. In the supreme self-existence, the trigunas and the combinations of trigunas and the individuals comprising of those trigunas do not exist. Shvetadi varna rahito yedam shivascha karyam hi karanamidam hi param shivascha evam vikalpa rahitoham avalam shivascha swatmanam atmanim sumitra katham namami. Shiva, the Absolute, is ever without white and other colors. This is effect and cause are also the Supreme Shiva. I am this pure Shiva, Shivoham, devoid of all doubt. O beloved friend, how shall I bow to my own self in myself? Swatmanam atmani sumitra katham namami. Nirmola mola rahitohi sadoditoham. Nirdhuma dhuma rahitohi sadoditoham. Nirdeepa deepa rahito hi sadoditoham. Jnanamrutam shuddhamatindriyoham. These are meditative declarations in the form of repeated statements. Jnanamrutam shuddhamatindriyoham. Nishkampaka Nishkama kamamiha nama katham vadami. Nissanga sangamiha namam katham vidami. Nissara sararahitam cha katham vadami. Jnanamrutam shuddhamatindriyoham. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence like sky. Advaita rupam akhilam hi katham vadami. Dvaita swarupam akhilam hi katham vadami. Nityam sa anityam akhilam katham vadami. Jnanamrutam shuddhamatindriyoham. How shall I speak of the whole, which is non-dual? How shall I speak of the whole, which is the nature of duality? How shall I speak of the whole, which is eternal, non-eternal? I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence, like sky. Sthulam hi no nahi kusham tatagatam hi adyantamadhyarahitam aparaparam hi satyam vadami khalu paramartha tattvam jnanamrutam samarasam shuddhamatendriyo. It is neither gross nor subtle, nor the cause, nor come and gone, not having beginning, middle, or end. It is neither high nor low. I am truly declaring highest truth and reality. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence, like the sky. Jnanamrutam shuddhamatindriyoham. Jnanamrutam samarasam gaganopamoham. Samvidhi sarvakaranani nabho nibhani. Samvidhi sarva vishayanscha nabho nibhani. Samvidhi chaikam amalamcha nahi bandhamuktam jnanamrutam samarasam gaganopamoham. Know all instruments of perception to be like ethereal space, Akash. Know all objects of perception to be like ethereal space. Know this pure one as neither bound nor free. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence. What are the instruments of perception? Senses, mind, etc. Durbodha bodha mahano na bhavami tata. Durlaksha lakshaka hano na bhavami tata. Asagrasa rupamagga hano na bhavami tata. Jnanamrutam samarasam shuddhamati. Oh my child, I am not difficult to comprehend, nor am I hidden in consciousness. My child, I am not difficult to perceive, nor I am hidden in the perception. My child, I am not hidden in the forms immediately near me. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence, like the sky. Nishkampakam, nishkarma karma dahano jvalano bhavami. Nirdukha dukha dahano jvalano bhavami. Nirdeha deha dahano jvalano bhavami. Jnanamrutam samarasam shuddhamatindriyoham. I am the fire that burns the karmas of one who is beyond all karma. As you know, a being is born out of karma and dies out of karma muna puttujanto, karma muna jach. And burning out karma is the prerequisite for liberation. I am the fire that burns all karmas of one who is beyond all karmas. I am the fire that burns the sorrow of one beyond all sorrow. Because of karma, we have karma anubhava. Karma bandha leads to janma, and janma karma leads to karma anubhava and dukkha. I am also the fire that burns the body of one who is devoid of body. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence like this. Jnanamrutam shuddhamad samarasam gaganopamoham. Nishpapa papa dahano utasanoham. Nirdvandva dahano hi utasanoham. Nirbandha bandha dahano hi utasanoham. Jnanamrutam samarasam gaganopamoham. I am the fire that burns the sin of who is sinless. I am the fire that burns the attributes of one who is without attributes. I am the fire that burns the bondage of one who is without bondage. I am the nectar of knowledge. What does it mean? I am the fire that burns the bondage of one which is without bondage. The one is that pure self Brahman which has no bondage, but the false assumption of Ankara and Jiva leads to bondage. So I am that fire which burns. Jnanagni. Jnanagni dagdhaha. That also is mentioned in the Gita. Nirbhava bhava rahito na bhavami vatsa. Niryoga yoga rahito na bhavami vatsa. Nishchitta chitta rahito na bhavami vatsa. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamo. My child, I am not devoid of non-existence and existence. I am not devoid of unity and absence of unity. I am not devoid of mind and absence of mind. I am the Jnanamrita, nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence. Nirmoha moha padaviti name vikalpi. Nishoka shoka padaviti name vikalpaha. Nirlobha lobha padaviti name vikalpo. Jnanamritam samarasam shuddhamatīndriyokam. Samsara santa nirata nachame kadachit. Santosha santati sukho nachame kadachit. Ajnana bandhamidam nachame kadachit. Jnanamritam samarasam ganopamo. The creeper-like growth of world existence is never mine. The joy of extended contentments is never mine. Bondage of ignorance is never mine. I have nothing to do with all these things. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous. This is a meditative process. Neti netiti vakyataha dhyana sadhana, dhyana yoga sadhana iti kachyante. Samsara santavir tirajohi nachame vikaraha. संताप संतत तमो नचमे विकारः सत्वं स्वधर्म जनकम नचमे विकारः ज्ञानामृतम शुद्धमतिं गगनोपमोह. The activity involved in the extension of relative existence is not a modification of myself. We are talking of various things that happen in our life. All that is being rejected. It's nothing to do with me. The gloom, which is the expansion of grief, is not a modification of myself. The tranquility which produces one's religious merit is not a modification of myself. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence, like sky. Santapa dukkha janako na vidhi kadachit. Santapa yoga janitam na manah kadachit. Santapa ahankriti priyam nachame kadachit. Jnanamritam shuddhamati indriyoham. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamoham. I have never any action which is the cause of regret and misery. Mine is never a mind which is the product of experience of misery. Since this egoism is never mine, I am the nectar of knowledge. Nishkampakampanidhanam kalpakalpam swapna prabodhanidhanam na hitatam nissarasaranidhanam na characharam hi jnanamritam samarasam shuddhamati indriyoham jnanamritam samarasam gaganopam. I am the depth of the movement of the unmoving one. The unmoving one, achalam, never moves. So I am the depth of the movement. I am neither decision nor indecision. I am the depth of sleep and wakefulness. I am neither good or evil. Neither I am moving nor unmoving. I am the depth of the substance of the unsubstantial. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence. No vedya vedakamidam nacha hetu takyam vachamagocharamidam namanona buddhi evam katham hi bhavata kathayami tattvam jnanamritam samarasam. This self is neither knowable nor the instrument of knowing. It is neither reason nor the one to be reasoned about. It is beyond the reach of words. It is neither mind nor intelligent. How then can I speak of this truth to you? I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence like sky. Nirbhinna bhinna rahitam paramardha tattvam antarbahirna katham paramardha tattvam prak sambhavam na charatam param nahi vastu kinchit jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamoham. The supreme reality is divide of the undivided and the divided. Supreme reality is devoid of the undivided and the divided. The supreme truth is no way within or without. It is beyond causation. It is not attached, nor is it any substance. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence. Ragadi dosha rahitam tvameva hi tattvam. Devadi dosha rahitam tvam ahameva tattvam. Samsara shoka rahitam ahameva tattvam. Jnanamritam samarasam gagano. I am verily the reality, free from blemishes and attachment. I am, that is, Atma Shatka, Nirvana Shatka of Shankaracharya also tell the same thing. Naam deho nendriyani antarangana hankara pranavargona buddhi karabhaccha kshetra vittadi dura sakshi nitya prachagatma shivo sthanatrayam yadi naichineti kanturiyam kalatrayam yadi chaneti katham dishascha shantam padam hi paramam paramartha tattvam jnanamritam samaras gaganopa. If there are no three planes of existence, how can there be the fourth? If there are no three times, how can there be the parts? The supreme reality is the state of the highest things, serenity. I am the nectar of knowledge. Doshau laghu purahitam mama vibhago. I have no such divisions as long or short. I have no such divisions as wide or narrow. I have no such divisions as angular or circular. I am the nectar of knowledge. Shuddham vishuddha. Avicharamanasarupam. Dirlepa lepam avicharam anantarupam. Nikhanda khandam avicharam anantarupam. Jnanamritam shuddhamatim. Brahmadaya suragana kathamatra santi. Swargadayo vasataya kathamatra santi. Yadyekarupam amalam paramartha tattvam jnanamritam. Nirneti neti vimalo nahi katham vadami. Nissesha sesha vimalo katham vadami. Nirlinga linga rahito hi katham vadami. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamoham. Nishkarma karma paramam satatam karomi. Nissanga sanga rahitam paramam vinodam. Nirdeha deha rahitam satatam vinodam. I ever perform the supreme action which is non-action. I am the supreme joy, devoid of attachments and detachment. I am the everlasting joy. Maya prapancha rachana nachame vikaraha. Kautilya dambha rachana nachame vikaraha. Satyanuteti rachana nachame vikaraha. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamo. The creations of the illusory universe is not my modification. The creation of the deceit and arrogance is not my modification. Basically, this is all a process of meditation. This is all a process of negation of the non-self and asserting the nature of the self. And the nature of the self is jnanamritam, samarasam, gaganopamo. Sankhyaadikala rahitam nachame vibhago. Ananta prayojana madhuronamo. Evam vikalpa rahitam bhava shuddham. Jnanamritam, samarasam, gaganopamo. Nirnathanadharahitam hi nirakulam vai. Nischitta chitta vigalam hi nirakulam vai. Santam vidhi sarva vigatam nirakulam vai. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamo. Kantara mandiram katham vadami. Samsiddha shemidinam katham vadami. Evam nirantaramaham nirakulam vai. How shall I say that this is a forest or this is a temple? How shall I say this is proven or doubtful? This one is uninterrupted, homogeneous. So all attributes and descriptions are being negated. Dir jiva jiva rahitam satatam vibhati. Dir bija bija rahitam satatam vibhati. Dir vana bandha rahitam satatam vibhati. Jnanamritam samarasam bhagano. The self, the divide of life and lifelessness, shines forever. Divide of seed and seedlessness, shines forever. Free of liberation and bondage, shines forever. I am the nectar of knowledge. Sambhuti bhuti varjitamidam satatam vibhat. Samsara varjitamidam satatam vibhat. Samhara varjitamidam satatam vibhat. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamoham. It shines forever, devoid of birth, devoid of mundane existence, and devoid of death. I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence. Ullekhamatramapitena namarupam. Nirbhinna bhinnamapitena vastu kinchit. Nirlajjaranasa karosh katham vishadam. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamo. Thou has no name. That means you have no name or form, even to the extent of illusion or any substance differentiated or undifferentiated. Why dost thou grieve, O thou of shameless mind? I am the nectar of knowledge, homogeneous existence. Kim nama rodishi sakhena jarana mrityu. Kim nama rodishi sakhena janma dukkham. Kim nama rodishi sakhe nachate vikaraha jnanamritam samarasam suttamati. Why you weep, friend? You have no old age or death. Why do you weep, friend? You have no misery of birth. Why do you weep, friend? There is no change for you. I am the nectar of knowledge. Kim namarodhishi sakhena chate swarupam. Kim namarodhishi sakham chate virupam. Kim namarodhishi sakhe chate vayansi. Jnanamritam shuddhamatim. Kim namarodhishi sakhe nachate vayamsi. Kim namarodhishi sakhe nachate manansi. Kim namarodhishi sakhe sarvendriyan. Jnanamritam shuddha gaganopamokam. Kim namarodhishi sakhe nachate asti kamaha. Kim namarodhishi sakhe nachate praloha. Kim namarodhishi sakhe nachate vimoha. You have no desire, you have no greed, you have no delusion. Name raga dvesho, name dvesha ragau, name lobha moho, mado naiva me naiva, matsarya bhava nadhar. So this is the same statement we find in many others texts. Aishwaryam ichhasi katham nachate dhanani. Aishwaryam ichhasi katham nachate patni. Aishwaryam ichhasi katham nachate mamete. Jnanamritam samarasam gaganopamoham. And this goes on like that, like a Jata hina hridaye rajate tasama. So it will negate all activities, all differentiations. And in chapter 4, he is telling, Na avaham naiva visarjanam va, Pushnavi patrani katham bhavanti, Jnanani mantrani katham bhavanti, Samasamam cheva shivarchanam cha. He is negating all activities. Na kevalam bandha vibandha mukto, Na kevalam shuddha vishuddha muktaha, Na kevalam yoga viyoga muktaha, Navai vimukto gaganopamoham. Sanjayate sarvamidam hitathyam, Sanjayate sarvamidam vitathyam. Evam vikalpo mama edava jataha, Swarupa nirvana manamayoham. I have developed no false notion that all this reality comes into existence, or all that reality is unreality comes into existence. I am free from disease. My form has been extinguished. Swarupa nirvana manamayoham. Abodha bodho mama naiva jato. Bodha swarupam mama naiva jato. Nirbodha bodham chakatham vadan. Swarupa nirvana manamayoham. It has not happened that I, the ignorant one, have attained knowledge, nor has it happened that I have the nature of knowledge. How can I say that I have both ignorance and knowledge? I am free from disease. My form has been extinguished. Na dharma mukto na cha papa yukto, na dharma yukto na cha papa yukto, na janma bhakto na cha moksha yuktaha. Yuktam tvayuktam cha na cha me vibhati swarupa nirvanam anamayoham paraparam वाचनमे कदाचित् मध्यस्थ भावो नहि चारित्रिकम् हिताहितं चापि कथं वदामि स्वरूप निर्वाण मनामयोहम् लोपासको नैव उपासरूपं न लोपदेशो च न क्रियात् संवित् स्वरूपं च कथं वदामि स्वरूप निर्वाण. I am not the worshipper or the form of the worship. I have neither instruction nor practice. How shall I speak of myself who am the nature of consciousness? Pure consciousness has none of these attributes. I am free from all disease. Because this samsaram is a disease by itself. Mental disease, people have mental diseases called emotions and egoism. I am free from disease. My form has been extinguished. No vyapakam vyapyamiham. So it will go on like this. So I will go to chapter 5, which is also Om iti gaditam gagana samam tat na parapara vichara iti avilasa vilasa nirakaranam katham akshara bindu samucharanam. The word Om is like sky. It is not the discernment of the essence of high and low. How can there be enunciation of the point of the word Om, which annuls the manifestation of the unmanifest? So it is a very profound statement he made on Om. Iti tattva. Iti tattvamasi prahrutibhihi srutibhihi pratipaditam atmani tattvamasi. So the Shruti just propounded tattvamasi. Uparasi vivarjita sarvasamam kimrodishi manasi sarvasamam. The Shruti's statements such as tattvamasi prove that you are that. That divide of adjunction same to all. Why do you grieve in your heart? Kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. Atha urdhva vichitra sarvasamam bahirantara varjita sarvasamam. Yadi chaika vivarjita sarvasamam kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. Nahi kalpita kalpa vichara iti, nahi karana karya vichara iti, adasandhi vivarjita sarvasamam kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. Nahi bodha vibodha samadhiriti, nahi desha videsha samadhiriti, nahi kala vikala samadhiriti, kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. Nahi kumbha, nabho nahi kumbha iti, nahi jiva, vapurna jiva iti, nahi karana karya vibhaga iti, kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. Iha sarva nirantara mokshapadam, lahudirgha vichara vihina iti, nahi vartula gola vibhaga iti, kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. Iha shunya vishunya vihina iti, iha shuddha vishuddha vihina iti, iha sarva visarva vihina iti, kimurodishi manasi sarvasam. Nahi bhinna vibhinna vichara iti, nahi bahirantara sandhi vichara iti. Arimitra vivarjita sarvasamam, kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. Nahi sishya visishya swarupa iti, nahi charachara bheda vichara iti, sarva nirantara mokshapadam. In the nirantara mokshapadam, all these differentiations don't exist. He is negating one by one all of them. Nanu rupa virupya vihina iti, nanu vibhinna vibhinna vihina iti, nanu sarga visarga vihina iti, kimurodishi manasi sarvasam. Na guna guna pasha nibandha iti, bhrata jivana karma karomi kayam. Iti shuddha niranjana sarvasamam, kimurodishi manasi sarvasam. So it goes on like this. Nahi moksha padam, nahi bandha padam, nahi punya padam, nahi papa padam, nahi panna padam, nahi rikta padam, kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. So all dualities are negated. Karana karya, negation. Sarva nirantara sarva chite. Ihade kevala niruddha sarva chite. Vipadad vivarjita sarva chite, kimurodishi manasi sarvasam. Ati sarva nirantara rasarvagatam. Ati nirmala nischala sarvaratam. Dinaratri vivarjita sarvagatam. Kimurodishi manasi sarvasamam. Nahi bandha vibandha samanadam. Nahi yoga viyoga samanayam. Nahi tarka vitarka samagamanam. Kimurodishi manas sarvasamam. Iha kala vikala nirakaran. So it will go on negating. So kadukhas, all each one by one. Bahudha, this is a very famous slogan kind of song. Bahudha shrutaya pravadanti yadam viyadadaridam mrugato yasamam yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam kimurodishi manasi sarva samam. All the Shrutis, the Vedas have declared variously that this universe made up of Akasha and Panchabhutas is like an illusion. And since the self is the one indivisible and same in all, and the only one. And why don't you stop grieving, knowing that vindati vindati nahi nahi yatra chando lakshana nahi nahi tatra samarasamagno bhavita putaha pranapati tattvam paramavadhutaha. So Avadhuta is declaring the ultimate truth, where one knows nothing. There is verily no verification. Supreme and free one, pure of thoughts, absorbed in the consciousness of the homogeneous being, prattles about the truth of Pranapati Tattvam Paramavadhutaha. So that is chapter 5, and in chapter 6, Bahudha Sutaya Pravadanti Yadam Vyadadaridam Mrugatoya Samam Yadichaika Nirantara Sarvashivam Upameya Madho Vipamacha Katham Avibhakta Vibhakta Vihina Param Danukarya Vikarya Vihina Param Yadichaika Nirantara Sarvashivam Yajanam Chakatam Tapanam Chakatam Manayeva Nirantara Sarvagatam Avishala Vishala Vihina Param Manayeva Nirantara Sarvashivam Anasapi Katham Vachasa Chakatam. The mind is verily supreme, undivided, all pervasive, and devoid of largeness and smallness. The mind is indeed the indivisible, all comprehensive absolute. How can we do anything with mind and speech? The self is the negation of the distinction between day and night. The self is the negation of rights and non-rights. Is there only one indivisible, all comprehensive absolute? How can there be sun, moon, and fire? Dinaratri vivajjitam, dinaratri vibheda nirakaranam, uditanudasya nirakaranam, yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam, ravichandram asau jvalanascha katham. So all entities are being negated, all dualities are gadita vigaditam nahi satyamiti, vidita viditam nahi satyamiti, yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam, vishayendriya buddhi manansi katham. The spoken and the unspoken are not the truth. The known and the unknown are not the truth. If there is only one indivisible, all comprehensive absolute, how can there be object, senses, mind, and intellect? From where all these things have come? Gaganam pavano nahi satyamiti, dharani dahano nahi satyamiti, yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam, jaladascha katham, salilancha katham. Either and air are not the truth, the earth and fire are not the truth. If there is only one indivisible, all comprehensive absolute, how can there be cloud? How can there be water? Yadi kalpita loka nirakaranam, yadi kalpita deva nirakaranam, yadi chaika nirantara sarva shivam, gunadosha vicharamitascha katham. Marana nahi nirakaranam, Karanakaranam hi nirakaranam, yadi chaika nirantara sarva shivam, gaganamayam. The self is the negation of death and deathlessness. It is the negation of action and inaction. If there is only one divisible, all-pervading absolute, how can one speak of coming and going? Prakriti purusho nahi bheda iti, nahi karana karya vibheda iti, yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam purusha purusham chakatham vadati, tritiyam cha dukha samanam cha na gunadvitiyam cha samanam, yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam स्थावरंच युवाज शिशुश्च कथम. ननु आश्रम वर्ण विहीन परम, ननु कारण कर्तृ विहीन परम, यदि चैक निरंतर सर्व शिवम अविनष्ट विनष्ट मतिश्च कथम. गमिता गमितं च वितथ्यमिति, जनिता जनितं च वितथ्यमिति, यदि चैक निरंतर सर्व शिवम अविनाशि विनाशि कथम हि भवेत्. The destroyed and the undestroyed are both false. The born and the unborn are both false. If there is only one indivisible, all comprehensive absolute, how can there be the perishable and imperishable? Purusha purushasya vinashtamiti, vanita vanitasya vinashtamiti, yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam avinodana vinodana matischa katham. The self is annihilation. of the masculine or non-masculine. It is annihilation of the feminine and the non-feminine. If there is only one indivisible, all-comprehensive absolute, how can there be consciousness of joy and lack of joy? Yadi moha vishada vihina paro, yadi samshaya shoka vihina para, yadi chaika nirantara sarva shivam, ahameti mameti kathancha punaha. If the Supreme is free from delusion and sorrow, doubt and grief, if there is only one indivisible, all-comprehensive absolute, how can there be I and mine, ahankara and mamakara? Nanu dharma vidharma vinashayiti, nanu bandha vibandha vinashayiti, yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam, iha dukkha vidukha madhischakatham. Supreme is the destruction of virtue and vice. It is the destruction of knowledge and freedom from bondage. If there is only one indivisible, all-comprehensive absolute, how can there be any consciousness of sorrow and absence of sorrow? Nahi yajnika yajna vibhaga iti, na hutasana vastu vibhaga iti, yadi chaika nirantara sarva shivam, yadi karma phalani bhavanti katham. So no distinction of sacrifice and sacrifice that exists. No distinction of fire and ingredients exists. There is only one indivisible, all-comprehensive absolute. How can there be any karma and karma phala? Nanu shoka vishoka vimukta iti, nanu darpana vidarpana vimukta iti, yadi chaika nirantara sarva shivam, nanu raga viraga ma adhikam, nanu raga viraga matischa katham. The self is verily free from sorrow and absence of sorrow. The self is free from pride and absence of pride. If there is only one indivisible, all-comprehensive absolute, how can there be consciousness of attainment, attachment and non-attachment? Nahi moha vimoha vikara iti, nahi lobha vilobha vikara iti, yadichaika nirantara sarva shivam, aviveka viveka matischa katham. No such change as illusion and freedom from illusion exists. No such change as greed from freedom from greed exists. If there is only one indivisible, all-comprehensive absolute, how can there be consciousness of discrimination or lack of discrimination? Tvamaham nahi hanta kadachita kulajati vichara sattu ahameva shiva paramartha iti abhivadamatah karomi katham. There are never you and I. The discrimination of family and race is false. I am indeed the absolute and the supreme truth. In that case, how can I make any salutations to whom? Guru Sishya Vichara Vihinait Visenit Upadesha Vichara Vichirnait Ahameva Shiva Paramarthaiti Abhivadana Matra Karomi Katham. Nahi Kalpita Hetu Avibhagasiti Nahi Kalpita Loka Vibhagaiti Ahameva Shivas Paramarthaiti Abhivadana Matra Karomi Katham. Sarajo Virajo Nahi Kadichit Anu Nirmala Nischala Shuddhaiti Ahameva Shiva Paramarthaiti Abhivadana Matra Karomi Katham. Nahi Deha Videha Vikalpaiti Anutam Charitam Nahi Satyamiti Ahameva Shiva Paramarthaiti Abhivadana Masya Karomi Katham. No distinctions such as body and bodilessness. Nor is it true that there is false action. I am indeed the absolute and supreme truth. In that case, how can I make any salutation? Vindati vindati nahi nahi yatra chando lakshana nahi nahi tatra samana samagno bhavita puta pralapati tattvam paramavadhuta. This is like a slogan, concluding statement of this chapter. Where one knows nothing, there is verily no verification. The supreme and free one, pure of thought, absorbed in the consciousness of the homogeneous being, prattles about the truth. Vindati vindati nahi nahi yatra chando lakshana nahi nahi tatra Samarasamagno bhavita puta pranapati tattvam paramavadhuta. The supreme truth has been practiced. Now chapter 7. This is very more serious than the earlier. Upyakarpata virachita kantha punya punya vivarjita pantha sunyagare tishtati nagno sutta niranjana samarasamagna. The enlightened one, nude or clad in a patched garment made of rags gathered from roads, follows the path which is devoid of virtue and vice, and stays in an empty abode, absorbed in the pure, stainless, homogeneous being. Lakshya vilaksha vivarjita lakshyo yukta yukta vivarjita lakshya kevala tattva niranjana puto vada vivada kathamavadhuta. The enlightened one aims at which is without any mark or marklessness. He is skillful, being devoid of right and wrong. He is absolute truth, stainless and pure. How can be liberated one be engaged in discussion and disputation? Asha pasha vibandhana mukta, shauchachara vivarjita yukta, evam sarva vivarjita shantaha, tattvam suddha nirantaravantaha. Free from, he is talking of the Avadhuta's behavior, free from entrapment in the snares of the hope and devoid of purification. And the enlightened one is never absorbed, is ever absorbed, is always absorbed in the absolute. Thus, having renounced all, he is the truth, pure and stainless. Kathamiha deha videha vichara, kathamiha raga viraga vichara, nirmala nischala gaganakaram, swayamiha tattvam sahajakaram. Kathamiha deha videha vichara, kathamiha raga viraga vichara, nirmala nischala gaganakaram, swayamiha tattvam sahajakaram. How can there be any discussion here of body and disembodiment, of attachment and detachment? Here is the truth itself in its spontaneous natural form, pure and immovable like sky. Kathamiha tattvam vindati yatra, rupam arupam kathamiha tatra, gaganakara paramo yatra, vishayikaranam kathamiha tatra. Where the truth is known, how can there be form or formlessness? Where the truth supreme, whose form is like sky, how can perception of any object possible? Gaganakara nirandaya hamsaha, tattva vishuddha niranjana hamsaha, evam kathamiha bhinna vibhinnam, bandha vivarjana karana bhinnam. The Supreme Self is indivisible. Of the form of the sky, it is the truth, pure and stainless. Thus, how can there be a difference of non-difference, bondage and freedom from bondage, transformation and division? Kevala tattva nirantara sarvam yoga viyoga kathamiha evam paramar evam parama nirantara sarvam evam kathamiha sara visaram. Here is the only absolute truth, the indivisible and all. How can there be here union, disunion, pride? If thus there is here only the supreme, indivisible and all, how can there be here any substance or absence of substance? Substance or absence of substance is limited to the repository of qualities and therefore belonging to the relative plane. Kevala tattva nirantara sarvam, kevala tattva niranjana sarvam, gaganakara nirantara shuddham, evam kathamiha sangati sanga visangam, satyam kathamiha ranga virangam. Here is the absolute truth, indivisible and pure, stainless and all the form of the sky. Thus, how can there be here association and dissociation? How truly can there be here any play or cessation of play? Yoga viyoga rahito yogi, bhoga vibhoga rahito bhogi, evam charati manda vimandam manasa kalpita sahajalam. Yoga viyoge rahito yogi, bhoga vibhoge rahito bhogi, evam charati manda vimandam manasa kalpita sahajalam. The enlightened one is a yogi devoid of yoga, or the absence of yoga. He is an enjoyer devoid of enjoyment and the absence of enjoyment. Thus he wanders leisurely, filled with the spontaneous joy of his own mind. Yoga viyoga rahito yogi. भोग विभोगैरहितो भोगी एवं चरति हि मंद विमंदम मनसा कल्पित सहजानंदम. This is not for us, it is for Avadhuta's state of description is being described. बोध विबोधै सततो युक्तो द्वैताद्वैते कथमिह मुक्तः सहजो विरजः कथमिह योगी शुद्ध निरंजन समरस भोगी. बोध विबोधै सततं युक्तो द्वैताद्वैतै कथमिह मुक्तः सहजो विरजः कथमिह योगी शुद्ध निरंजन समरस भोगी. If the yogi is always related to knowledge and perception, to duality and unity, how can he be free from them? How can a yogi be natural and free from attachment? He is the enjoyer of pure, stainless and homogeneous being. भग्ना भग्न विवर्जित भग्नो लग्ना लग्न विवर्जित लग्नः एवं कथम ह्यसार विसारम समरस तत्वं गगनाकार. सततं सर्व विषय वियुक्तः सतत सर्वं तत्व विवर्जित युक्तः सत एवं कथम ह्य जीवित मरणम ध्यानाध्यानै कथम ह्य करणम. We are coming to the end. Indrajalamidam sarvam. So having negated all dualities, now he's talking serious statements. Till now there were songs which you have seen with various slogans. Samarasa tattvam gaganakaraha Shuddha nirantrata samarasa bhogi, and so on. All the slogans and songs of Avadhuta have come to an end as we are coming to the end of the text of Avadhuta Gita. In the last portions, he is being suddenly very serious. Indrajalamidam sarvam yadha maru marichika akhanditamanakaro vartate kevala shivaha. This is the final statement he is making after negating all dualities. The samsaram which you are experiencing, the miseries which you are experiencing, or the elations which you may experience, this is all Indrajalam. It is a Maya. It is a magic. You know how the magic is. In Yoga Vasishtha, there is one story description. An Indrajalika magician comes to a very great king and he says he wants to demonstrate his Indrajalam, but with a precondition that whatever happens, he should not be punished. So the king agrees. The moment he agreed, the show starts. The moment the show starts, the king found himself walking in the forest and getting lost and getting married to a tribal woman in forest and getting children. And then after a long time, there is famine. People are eating each other bodies. So he is trying to feed his child his own little finger, and the child is chewing it. And suddenly he wakes up. Here it is all Maya Indrajala. He is so angry, he wants to punish the magician, but he gave a precondition promise previously, so he lets him away. Similarly, Narada also had this kind of experience. Narada was once very proud that he is a great bhakta of Vishnu. So Krishna took Narada to their water tank and asked him to take bath. So once he was taking bath, then he lost himself in the water tank. Then he found himself in a forest. And all kinds of things happen. He marries a tribal woman, gets children. There are all some 20 of children and all that. 10 or 20. And then there's a fire burning everything. And then he realized, suddenly he wakes up and realized it was all Maya. So there's not much of difference between Indrajalam or Maya and the life which we live, which is also a kind of an Indrajalam Maya, Vishnu Maya. Indrajalamidam sarvam yatha maru marichika, like the water in the mirage. Akhanditam anakaro vartate kevala Shiva. The truth is only Shiva. The akhanditam the formless Shiva, the absolute existence. Dharmado moksha paryantam niriha sarvadhavayam katham raga viragaischa kalpayanti vipaschita. To all things from the practice of religious laws and duties until moksha liberation, We are completely indifferent. How can we have anything to do with attachment? Only the learned imagine these things. Vindati vindati nahi nahi tatra chando lakshana nahi nahi tatra samara samagno bhavita putaha pralapati tattvam paramavadhutaha. Where one knows nothing, there is verily no verification. The supreme and free one, pure of thought, absorbed in consciousness of the homogeneous being, prattles about the truth. Vindati vindati nahi nahi yatra chando lakshanam nahi nahi tatra samara samagno bhavita putaha pralapati tattvam paramavadhuta. Last chapter, chapter 8. Tvajatraya vyapakata hata te dhyanen chetah parata hata te studya maya vakya parata hata te kshamasva nityam trividha paratim. By making pilgrimage to yourself, to your all pervasiveness, has been destroyed by me with my meditation. Your transcendence of the mind has been destroyed by me. Thy transcendence of speech has been destroyed by me, by my singing. Thy praise ever forgive me for these three sins. The sins of speech and other two faculties. Kamairasa, Kamairahata Dhidadato Shuchirantikas Aniho Mitahuk Shantasthiro Nacharano Munihi. A sage is one whose intelligence is unsmitted by lusts, who is self-controlled, gentle and pure, who possesses nothing, who is indifferent, who eats moderately, is quiet and steady, and has taken refuge in me. Apramatto gabhiratma dhrutiman jita shadgunaha amani manada kalpo maitra karunikaha kavihi. The sage is vigilant and resolute, has a profound mind, has conquered the 6 bondages, is not proud, but gives honor to others, is strong, friendly to all, compassionate and wise. So these are the qualities you find in Jivan Muktas like Rama and others. Krupal Akrita Droh Stitikshuhu Sarvadehinam Satchasaro Anavajatma Samah Sarvopakar. The sage is merciful, non-violent, and enduring all. He is pure-hearted and is the essence of truth. He is the same to all and beneficent to all. Avadhuta Lakshana Varno Varne Jnatavyam Bhagavattamaihi Veda Varna Arthatattvam Tatvajnaha Veda Vedanta Vadivihi. The sign of an Avadhuta should be known by the blessed ones, by those who know the truth of the significance of the letters of the Vedas and who teach Veda and Vedanta. So, those who teach Veda and Vedanta should understand and realize the importance and the indications of an Avadhuta, the significance of the Shruti statements is brought out in the Avadhuta's lifestyle, behavior, and exclamations. Asha Pasha Vinirmuktaha, Adi Madhyanta Nirmalaha, Anande Vartataha, Nityam Akaran Tasya Lakshanam. The Avadhuta as Avadhuta. So, A is Akara. What is the meaning of Akara? The significance of the letter A is that it is free from bondage of hopes, is pure in the beginning, middle, and the end, and dwells in ever joy. Vasana Varjitaya Vaktavyam Chaniram Vartamaneshu Varteta Vakaram Tasya Lakshana. The syllable Va is indicative of him by whom all desires have been renounced, whose speech is wholesome, and who dwells in the present. And Dha, Dhuli Dhusara Gatrani, Bhuta Chitto Niramaya, Dharana Dhyanam Nirmukto, Dhukarasya Lakshanam. Dhu is a sign of him whose limbs are grey and dust, whose mind is purified, He is free from all diseases and who is released from the practices of concentration and meditation because he doesn't require. Tattva chinta dhrita denanta, tattva chinta dhrita yena, chinta chesthadi vivarjitaha, tamohankara nirmuktaha, takarastam tasya lakshanam. The syllable ta is significant of him, by whom the thought of truth has been made steady, who is devoid of all thoughts and efforts, and who is free from ignorance and egoism. So we have come to the last sloka, after which we can have a detailed discussion. The last sloka is of chapter 8, 10th sloka. Dattatreya avadhutena nirmita anandarupina ye pathanti cha srunvanti tesham naima punarbhavaha. So the greatest benefit of reading this or hearing this Avadhuta Gita is no more birth, na punarbhavaha. Those who understand this Gita song is composed by Dattatreya Avadhuta, who is the embodiment of bliss. Whoever reads or hears it, this Avadhuta Gita, has never any more rebirth. Om Tat Sat. I have finished.
Thank you, Dr. Prabhu. I think we have finished quite early. There's still 30 more minutes. I request the audience to place their questions in Q&A box, and we'll wait for few minutes. Prabhuji, and in the morning session, we discussed a comparison between Ashtavakra Gita and Avadhuta Gita. Now I want you to shed some light on comparison between, say, Shankara's approach to Vedanta in the Shankara Bhashya and his Prakarana Grantha, such as, for example, his Upadeja Sahasri or Aparokshana Bhuti basically gives a direct enunciation of the teaching. To compare to that, that with the Avadhuta Gita's teachings, do you see any notable difference in their approach, be it pedagogical approach or whatever it is? Please do shed some light.
Yes, it's a very interesting question and topic to discuss. I have gone through almost all the Prakarana Granthas which you have mentioned. There is a discussion or an analysis of the nature of the self. Who am I? I am not. So in every Prakarana Grantha, our Guru Adi Shankaracharya starts from the scratch, and he goes on building up the case of negation of the false identities with the body, with the ahankara, with manas, and finally he negates all of them. And then he establishes that the self is not any one of these, the first step. Then the other side is also built up, the Brahman, nature of Brahman. So that which is responsible for the creation, sustenance, and dissolution of the universe. And then he goes on analyzing that nature of Brahman by negating non-Brahman and brings to the level of Atman. And then finally he shows both are same. So I am Atma Brahma, Tattvamasi. So the Mahavakya message is conveyed in a very systematic, academic, analytical, step-by-step manner in those granthas. Whereas here it is not like that. In the Avadhuta Gita, he doesn't care a damn about systematic procedure or academic process or any such pedagogy. He is very forthright, blunt, and he is forcible. So the difference is here the person who is speaking is an Avadhuta who has no bounds. In fact, the word Avadhuta itself means no bounds, no rules, no restrictions, no procedures, and no process. He is a total free person. So that being the case, it is definitely that he is a liberated soul and he is hitting hard, so to say, on the point blank range, on the statement of truth. And he also made a large number of songs with a sloganeering kind of phrases. How can this be? How can this be? Then if I am this, then how can that be that? All the dualities kept on rejecting each sloka. So many slokas, in fact, many chapters have been delivered on that ground. I have skipped some of them without explaining, but I have sung most of them. So those songs are noteworthy to remember and negate, because in our life we face a lot of situations, bad situations, emotional, distressful situations, or where we are intrigued, or where we are pained, or we are under emotional stress. So in those situations, how do we come out of it? So this Avadhuta Gita slogan songs are very powerful in that. It is like a strong suggestive process of negation and assertion, negation of the dualities, negation of the reality of the samsara, because all our miseries and pains are coming due to our obsessions, due to our identifications with samsaric objects. Somebody said this, somebody did this, something happened, this, that, and mostly due to the ahankaram, mamakaram, ragam, dvesham, kama, all this. So here he will very ruthlessly enlisted all such dualities and kept on hitting hard. How can that be you? How can this be yours? How can you be sorry? How can you be ill? How can you be that? So he will go on washing, scratching hard. So that is the main distinction.
Very, very interesting. I think, Shankaracharya is called as Acharya. I think that suits well because of the pedagogical approach to teaching how to reach the even the lowest denominator student. So that systematic approach is important in that sense. But I think Avadhuta Gita's teachings are kind of shakes you out of your sleep or shakes you out of your so it's kind of hammering thing. That's how it is important. Wonderful. So we have received just one question, and that is whether all these concepts found in Avadhuta Gita are already present in Vedas, or are there some innovative things in Avadhuta Gita as well?
Okay. He has referred to Shruti at least half a dozen times. And he has referred to the Mahavakyas, Tattvamasya Vakyena, Atma hi Pratipaditaha. So he has linked his assertions and declarations and hammerings with the Mahavakyas of the Vedas. That way it is getting the connectivity and credibility and credentials. Number one. Number two, there is a lot of innovation also. So these Mahavakyas, which are very cryptic declarations, are not explaining in detail, are not expanding with force or with, I would say, determination or conviction, because it will not be understandable to a lot of people. I've seen people using the word Tattvamasi without understanding anything about it. In fact, in temples, I've seen in Ayappa Swami temple, they have written Tattvamasi and then Visarga, Tattvamasihi, without knowing that itself is wrong. And they don't know even an idea of what is that. So when I told them first remove that Visarga, this is something else. They okay, they said. And some people have, printed on their hand and shoulder and all that, Tattvamasi, without knowing what it is. They have that, what do you call that, black, so that, what is that they understand out of which? In fact, I would go to the extent to say that only in Avadhuta Gita, the Mahavakyas like Tattvamasi, Prajnanam Brahma, Sarvam Kalanam Brahma have been in a lasting manner expanded and explained. Not otherwise. Otherwise, people take in a mild way. And even in the Upanishad itself, Svetaketo Tattvamasi. So that was a kind of a limited scope statement. But here we're bringing to the universal identity of the self, yourself as whole universe. So this is the true import and true impact of the same Mahavakyas of the Vedas.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. I don't think there are any more questions. There is one question which is Avadhuta Gita written by Shankaracharya? Of course not.
No. It predates. It predates Shankaracharya by a large period of time.
It's by.
It is signed off at the end by Dattatreya Avadhuta. He himself identified his identity as Dattatreya Avadhuta. But then some people say that Gorakhnath wrote it. We don't know whether it is true or not. But Gorakhnath also claims that he is a disciple of Dattatreya, who is much, much earlier to Gorakhnath. But
in the Nath tradition, Gorakhnath is disciple of Matsyendranath.
Yeah, immediate guru was Matsyendranath, but then the Nath Parampara, they all hold that Dattatreya as the supreme authority of the Avadhutas, Digambaras and all that.
True.
We have this Digambara Avadhutas and the naked sadhus, Naga sadhus and all these people, right? So in Kumbh Mela, they all come. So they are all Avadhutas. Not all, some of them are Avadhutas. So they all put the Dattatreya picture there, and there are only two beings whom they worship. One is Shiva and another is Dattatreya. So Shiva is the Supreme Lord, and Dattatreya is taken as Guru for many of the Nath Sampradaya, Avadhutas and so on. So in fact, I heard that Kanchi Shankara Paramacharya, the older Pariyar, 100-year-old man who lived, he used to tell everybody, if you want to see an Avadhuta, go and see Ravana Maharshi. So he is an Avadhuta. It means he is not restricted by any rules and regulations and conditions and processes and procedures. Whereas Shankaracharyas themselves, whosoever they are, even today, are in between or right from the beginning, they are bound by a big system of procedures, rules and regulations, even though they are sannyasis. Of course, grihasthas will be bound by
dharma. Yeah, they are bound by sannyasa dharma, whereas Avadhutas are beyond ashramas or atyashramis.
Correct. That's the point. Sannyasa dharma, of course, Peethadipatis have more Peethadipati dharmas also.
Yes.
And we have many bits of hierarchy of sadhus. We have Paramhamsa. Paramhamsa is one level. And we have Mahamandaleshwar, another level. And Mahant is a lower level. Mahantama, Paramhamsa, Mahamandaleshwar, and so on. And then Peethadipati, then Shankaracharya. This is the hierarchy. So in each of these levels of hierarchy of the sadhus or the sannyasis, they have their rules and restrictions very strictly to be adhered. That's the point. So whereas in the case of Avadhutas, there are no rules and regulations. They are even naked, or they may have rags on their body, or they may sit like a mad fellow roaming on the road, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But he is supreme, because even Dattatreya's image shows that the 4 dogs surrounding him. No sannyasi will keep dogs. But Avadhuta keeps dogs, but those dogs are not ordinary dogs. They are 4 Vedas. So that means the 4 Vedas are under his control. They are loyal, they are faithful. is above all of the knowledge given there. So the Avadhuta Gita, as Swami Vivekananda said, keeps the religion alive. It shows that there is something very strong, experiential experience there, which can be seen with such people. Actually, they're not just bookish. So when you talk of pedagogy, when you talk of lectures and classes and courses, we are talking of bookish knowledge. And this is not bookish knowledge. He wrote a book, but you can make out that it is not bookish book. It is a different thing altogether. It is coming from experience. We have, even in modern knowledge management, we have two types of knowledge: explicit knowledge and empirical knowledge. There are explicit knowledge is what we talk about, which has been recorded and which is bookish, which is all what we deal. But there is what is called implicit knowledge, tacit knowledge also. That means there are a lot of people who don't even know how to read and write, but they have a lot of knowledge about a particular subject, like say grandmother on cooking recipes. She never read a book on cooking or recipes, but she can give you 200 recipes just like that because she has experience. That is called tacit knowledge. You can sit with such a person and write down and record it into a book. So similarly, that is a practitioner is the source of bookish knowledge. In fact, in case of Ayurveda also it happened so that the tribals, they observed the animals in the forest, what plants they are eating, under what circumstances of their health conditions. So they identified the properties of plants, medicinal plants. So the tribals started using those medicinal plants for humans. That is the first practice of medicine in the tribal communities. And the same thing was recorded onto paper, manuscripts in terms of palm leaf and so on, by the Brahmin scholars of Ayurveda who went to the forest, sat with the tribals, and noted down that tacit knowledge. This is a recorded fact. The Dhanvantari Nighantu, he mentions this fact that all this knowledge was recorded from the tacit knowledge acquired by the tribals who observed nature, observed animals and plants and their properties. So that is how the origin of knowledge comes from practice and not vice versa. So the academic world is doing the vice versa. So originally it is from practice. So I could go to the extent of saying all the Upanishadic rishis, Vedic rishis were actually practitioners because they didn't have any other book to copy. We are following books to copy and reproduce. Like if you take Bhagavad Gita itself is a summary of the Upanishads. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandana partho vatsa sudhir vokta dugdham gitamrutam mahat. And the Upanishads themselves are derived out of Vedic mantras. So everything is derived from something else. And after, of course, Bhagavad Gita, we have many other religious books which have derived the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and produced many, many books and many, many religious practices or religious denominations or even full religions. We can prove, in my Dharma Yoga framework, I could prove that the basic concepts of ethics, dharma, and basic concepts of God and basic concepts of devotion in other religions are the same, copied from the previous, like the Quran copied from Bible, and Bible copied from Buddhist texts, and Buddhist text copied from Hindu scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, which is well known, because none of them are original. They are just derived from the previous. And Bhagavad Gita is derived from the previous, that is Upanishads. And Upanishads are derived from the Vedas, the Vedic mantras, which are before the Upanishads. And who delivered those Vedic mantras, the rishis, they had their own experience. So finally, those experiences are from the enlightened souls, sages and rishis, like our Dattatreya, who actually experienced, and that is what they delivered. And I would say that the origin of the spiritual knowledge is from the experiential proclamations of the rishis and sages and yogis and like Dattatreya. That way, we have to respect deeply the proclamations of the Avadhuta Gita by the Tattva.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prabhu. I think there are no more questions, and we can conclude the session here. But I must say that it has been a fantastic session, the morning and the evening. The text itself is a very fantastic manual, and you provided a very wonderful overview of some important teachings of it. So on the behalf of Indica Moksha and all our viewers, I thank you again for making this time to come on our programs, and hope we can do more such sessions in the future as well. Thank you very much. Viewers, please follow us on
If there are
Facebook.
more questions there, I can see 5 questions there. 6 questions.
No, we have taken them. I don't think there are any questions. There are just comments.
Okay.
Yeah. So with this, we conclude. Viewers, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter for announcements about our upcoming sessions. So we conclude with this. Shri Guru Bhyo Namah.